up, y'all? This is Coach Jones, aka Jones Strength, coming at you from Inglewood, California. And I wanted to talk to you guys today about lunging mechanics and lunging patterns, and in particular forward lean, and how that's going to make you basically do the movement incorrectly and potentially cause some injury, especially if you're loading your spine when you're doing that type of movement. So when it comes to a single leg push assessment, my go-to is a split squat. It's very low level. Most of my athletes can do it, even if they have to restrict their range of motion, and it gives me a good sense of muscle imbalances and core stability or what have you. So it's a basic lunging movement where you're just kind of sitting down in that lunge and you're driving out, but you're not actually moving anywhere. And the things that I see in regards to people doing it wrong, we're talking about any and everybody, general population, weekend warriors, even athletes will do this wrong, is sometimes, I don't know, with guys I'll see weird stuff where I'll see kind of like a very short or the split's too close. And so there isn't really a great angle in either knee and they're collapsing at the waist. Or even maybe they do have a good split lengthwise, but they're still collapsing. Or they can sit tall in the bottom, but as they drive out, they collapse when they try to come up. I'll see people with too much width in between their feet, so they've got like a weird kind of wide type of split squat. Or I'll see an inline lunge where their feet are actually too close together. So when it comes to doing this in regards to how I like to see it and how I teach my athletes, I want to teach basically to have a neutral spine. And usually tight hips are what's going to cause that forward lean. It's going to be like low core strength, and it's going to be some tight hips, and it's kind of like pulling their trunk forward. So how I like to teach it is, okay, get into a split that's long enough for you, where you feel comfortable, and then I'll walk around. If I need to adjust people, I will. I want their hips tucked under. So I don't want them to sit back. I want them to sit back with their shoulders on their hips, but I don't want them to do that and accomplish that by hyperextending. And I see that a lot, is they'll just kind of like hyperextend and get this arc in their low back. So that's a sign of weak core. So instead of being able to tuck their hips under using their core and firing their glutes, they're just kind of putting a lot of pressure on their back. So hips are tucked under. I usually have them do prisoners with their hands behind their head. Glutes are fired from tucking the butt under. Run the ball of the back foot, front heel, because we also don't want people driving out the balls of their feet, because that's going to be all quads. We want to get the glutes and hams. We want to get that posterior chain fired. That's the key to knee stability and injury prevention. So I'm going to have them shoulders on the hips. That's my cue. Drop straight down. Touch that knee to the floor because I want full range of motion. And they're going to drive out, keeping their shoulders on top of the hips, stand nice and tall. From the front, this is what it's going to look like. Hip, knee, and ankle all in one line. Knee inside the ankle is never a good thing. It's not a good position for the knee to be in. So hip, knee, and ankle all in one line. Hips are tucked under, dropping straight down. Hip, knee, and ankle aligned. Driving out, front heel, ball of the back foot. Hip, knee, and ankle aligned. So potentially, I can fix about 90% of my athletes if they're doing this improperly. But just to kind of reinforce, just for you, if you're doing a lot of single leg motions, lunges, Bulgarian, step ups, anything like that, it's the same kind of deal. You're going to get a very intense stretch in that bottom hip because you're stretching it out. Like if you're tight and you're sitting forward and you're leaning forward, it's already pulling you forward, right? It's already in this tight kind of position. So when you push your hips forward and you it's going to lengthen this area, and it's going to be a very intense stretch. So sometimes if they can't get their knee to the floor, I have them stop just shy of the floor, but I still want that posterior tilt. I still want that glute fired. I still want that back neutral or straight up and down. Still want the shoulders on the hips. And instead of lurching forward, I just want them to drop straight down, sit on that ball of the back foot, front heel, and I want them to drive out. And if you're doing this right, core is going to be fired, front and back. You're going to have the posterior chain fired, both legs, glutes, hamstrings, back is going to be fired. And then from the front, it's the same deal. Hips are under, chest out nice and tall, because this kind of mimics what it's going to be like once they get a bar on their back. That's why I like prisoners. So I don't want them kind of arching their back again. Just hips under, spine nice and neutral, thoracic and lower lumbar. Take a breath in, drop that knee, and then drive out, keeping the shoulders on top of the hips. So if you haven't already, I got an ebook out actually that addresses the forward lean and all the muscle imbalances and overactive and underactive muscles surrounding different joints that cause that type of compensation. Because that's what's happening is you're compensating because certain muscles aren't really firing and other muscles are really tight and they're kind of hijacking the movement. But I've got this ebook. If you go to my website, coachkimjones.com, and I'll put that link in the bottom of this video. It's called Hip Mobility Master Volume 1 Forward Lean. And if you check that out, it'll help fix you. And that's in regards to a double leg pushing pattern like squat, front squat, or single leg pushing patterns like this, like the split squat. So again, Hip Mobility Master Volume 1 Forward Lean. Go to coachkimjones.com, go to products, and I'll cop that. That's going to help a lot of you guys with some hip issues and a weak core. And if you aren't following me on Instagram, stop sleeping. You can find me at @Jones_strength. And if you have any questions, type some below. I'd be more than happy to kind of address some issues if you have more questions about this type of movement, or if you want to know if you're doing it right or if you're doing it wrong. But thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the video. Got a lot more coming your way, so stay tuned.